What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about the Assassin's Creed collab. All the information that I know I will share with you guys here today. Now, over the past couple of days, we were sharing little tidbits of information with you guys. Basically, that's all we knew up until that point. We weren't really withholding any information from you guys. But here we go. We got everything here. So I'm going to share with you guys all of that. We will gloss over some of the stuff that we covered already. So if you guys are a little bit behind on the information, you guys can just go back and watch some of the videos over the last couple of days. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So we got the info deck right here, guys. Quickly going to mention the start date will be today, January 8th, and the end date will be April 8th. Now, April 8th is basically the last day, I believe, that you can sign up for the brand new free login champion, Ezio. I think the overall collab ends sometime in May. Also, the event dungeon will end before that deadline as well. So the event dungeon has its own ending deadlines, just something to keep in mind. They did add a little bit of lore here, so I'll quickly read that quickly. Powerful Magic has drawn 5 assassins from throughout history: Ezio Auditore, the Frenzy, Edward, Kenway, Bayek, Basim, Ilbin, Ishak, and Kassandra to the strange new world Talaria. With only their wits and assassin skills to help them survive, each has sought information in their own way. Ezio sweet-talked the ladies and traded barbed insults with the Knights of Tailshare, while Edward drank heartily alongside newfound friends aboard a Galen as a swashbuckling stowaway. Masters of gleaning knowledge from shifting sands, Bayek and Basim separately traversed the vast and harsh broken desert as Kassandra navigated waters that felt eerily like home to her. On their journeys far and wide, each assassin heard tale of a place called Velizar, where everything is for sale, including information. A bustling arena and market city under the shadowy rule of guilds, gangsters, and criminals, Velizar was akin to a home for some of the assassins. Little did they know it also played host to a piece of Eden. Sensing its power, each assassin made their way to Velizar, hunting the piece of Eden in a bid to return home. But they were too late. If they had fallen into the hands of the zealous Pontiff Augustin, who is now subjecting citizens of Velizar to his cruel power. Can the assassins band together to take the piece of Eden from Augustin to use it to return home? If they can, rest assured, blades will not stay hidden for long. Gives us a little bit of a lore of why they are here, what they are doing, and what their motives are. I mean, you know, it's raid storytelling, so it is what it is, but it's a little bit interesting, I guess. I can at least appreciate it a little bit. So let's move on. So we got the 6 champions here, guys. This is going to be the sneak peek. How many, when, how? How many, when, and how? Okay, how many? There's 6 legendary champions. When it's going to start on January 8th until April 8th. How? 14-day loyalty program, mixed fusion event, and other in-game events and activities. Champion availability. Champions will be available to acquire only during the event activation. So that's during, January 8th to April 8th, I guess. Once acquired, champions stay in the game permanently. So yeah, there's been questions about whether they'll be accessible after the collab. No, they won't be, except for Pontiff. Pontiff, they specifically said, was just going to be a standard raid champion. So he will be in the game, but the 5 assassins will not be. So there we go, the full review of all the champion lineups that we are getting for this collab. We got Pontiff here. He is the Void Affinity champion. We did reveal his kit a couple days ago, so he looks pretty good, and he's going to be the main boss in the event dungeon as well. Up next, we have Bayek. He's going to be a Barbarian faction, a legendary champion. He's going to be a Void Affinity, and he's going to be defense-based. We have Basim here for the Sacred Orders. He's going to be Force Affinity attack-based champion. We have Edward Kenway, part of the Bannerlords, another Force Affinity attack-based champion. We have Kassandra here. She is going to be a magic attack legendary champion for the brand new faction, the Argonauts. And we have Ezio Auditore for Sacred Orders, and he's going to be a attack-based spirit damage dealer. So we have all these champions here. This is the full lineup for the collab, guys. I think a notable admission here is Altair. Anyways, he was a very popular assassin. I think him being left out, I think a lot of people were mentioning that They're a little bit upset about his omission. But I think for the most part, people were pretty happy to see Ezio, Kassandra, Edward, for example. Personally speaking, I like that they all look a little bit different. They all have different weaponry and all that, which is pretty cool. We will go over their individual kits in this video, actually. So stay tuned for all of that. Let's move on from this. First of all, Ezio Auditore. We covered this earlier, but then he is going to be the 14-day login loyalty program champion. So you log into the game for 7 days, you're going to get Ezio. Make sure you guys get his 5-star soul. I did mention this previously in the video as well. His 5-star soul is really going to help him out. He is a damage dealer. He does benefit from accuracy, but he doesn't necessarily need it. Keep in mind these dates as well. The start date will be January 8th. The last day of enrollment is April 8th. The deactivation date is May 7th. Again, we covered this more in depth in the earlier video. And we covered Ezio a little bit more in depth as well there as well. His kit also was revealed. Is actually looking pretty good. He does have Perfect Veil on himself for 2 turns at the start of each round. So if you're, for example, using him in Arena, he's going to start off with the 2-turn Veil, which is really nice. All his abilities benefit from him being under Veil. So it's really, really good to have that passive Veil get applied right away. His passive is actually one of the highlights of his kit. His ability to basically omit damage when it exceeds 50% of his max HP. It's 35% chance of decreasing the damage to 0, which is really, really nice, and it just passively happens. There's no cooldown or anything on that. He should be relatively good against bosses and in PvP content as well. He does place poisons or bombs. He places poisons or bombs, which is pretty cool, and he does have an A1 with decreased defense as well, which will help early game players against clan boss, for example, and a solid speed in all battles aura, which makes him very easy to slot into any team. But as a free login champion, he looks perfectly fine. So looking forward to playing around with him. Up next, we have Kassandra here. A quick blurb about Kassandra. She is going to be the fusion that's going to be coming up today as well. She's going to be part of the brand new faction, the Argonites, the first champion, and she is going to be it. It's going to be a mixed style fusion, which means you have to collect fragments for the epic and then build up the epics up to 50 fully ascended, and then you have to fuse the epics into Kassandra before the fusion timer ends. Can't save it for later, for example. She's basically a juiced up female Spartan warrior. Pretty cool. I mean, you know, that's fine. And she's the granddaughter of Leonidas, and the spear in her hand is from Leonidas, which is pretty cool. So they got a little backstory here for her. We did cover her kit a little bit in the previous video. I will, just gloss over it here a little bit. She does have a triple hit on her A1. It's a turn meter pushback and it's a turn meter increase. It potentially could be a 6-hitter if her HP is under 50%, which is pretty insane. 30% damage from books. She's got an A2 ability here, which is looking okay. Probably good against bosses as well. But it's a decreased defense, HP burn, single target hit. And if it takes more than 50% of the target's max HP, then it's going to apply a stun on all enemies. So it's kind of like a double duty ability. It can work against waves. It can work against single target bosses. So I'm just thinking like, clan boss and stuff is totally okay. I mentioned this in the previous video, but the best thing about her for this ability is that she doesn't require any books, and it's still 100% chance to land decreased defense and HP burn. So you can totally use it against somebody like, the clan boss, right? For example, without having to apply books to it. It's still going to be on a 4-turn cooldown, which is like reasonable until you find enough books to make it a 3-turn cooldown. But that's definitely a bit of upside for her A2. And then her A3, Izu's Blessing, 6-turn cooldown down to a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked. This ability seems kind of busted, but basically she self-cleanses herself, heals herself for 50% of the max HP, and then gives herself 50% turn meter. She gives herself 3 buffs: increase attack, shatter, increase speed. Shatter is basically just ignore defense. And then those buffs last for 2 turns. All right. And there's a passive effect attached to this A3. Prevents this champion's death and keeps her alive on 1 HP if they are under increase attack, shatter, and increase speed. So if she has those buffs on her, she basically cannot die. She cannot die. If you think about it, it's kind of like an unkillable buff, kind of, but it's 3 of the buffs. It's kind of like unkillable, but it's kind of not, because some champions can go through unkillable, but I don't think any champion will be able to go through this. The only way to go through this is by removing the buffs from her. It doesn't look like there's any other restrictions attached to it. It looks pretty insane as long as you can keep those buffs up, or if she can somehow cycle through it consistently. I can see this being abused a little bit here. And of course, if you speed tune her properly, she can probably do some crazy stuff. Like I'm thinking like solo stuff with these buffs and this kind of unkillable ability of hers. Let's check it out. Her passives here. Everything's permitted. That's going to be the assassin passive for everybody. And then Blood of Sparta. Whenever this champion attacks an enemy, increase the champion's attack by the amount equal to 50% of the target's defense. Now, this is pretty interesting. We did ask for clarification on this. It only applies once. So when she attacks once, she will get that extra attack boost once on that attack. Now, that's pretty nuts. Still, she's going to get a ton of extra attack when she attacks. And when she gets hit, she's going to get a ton of extra defense. So this naturally makes her very tanky. And lastly, she brings a 19% speed in all battles aura, which is very, very good. All right, so I don't want to cover her too much, but basically she's going to be the fusion. And it's going to be starting today as well. I think she's going to be pretty solid. Just wait for the playtest to come out before you guys make your decisions, of course. But on first read, she's probably looking to be, a better champion than she is going to be a bad champion. And the other argument is that she is the first champion for the brand new faction, and it kind of makes sense to start building out that faction because, if you want to farm faction wars, right? But that's probably not going to be, for a little while from now. Anyways, let's jump on to the next slide. And here we go. This is the juicy stuff here. So like I said, they announced the whole lineup for the Assassin's Creed. Now we got the full kits of each one of these champions as well. Let's start off here with Bayek. He's the Void Affinity defense-based barbarian champion. Let's check out his kit here. Attack A1. Attacks one enemy. Places leech for 2 turns. It's a 100% chance. Fills this champion's turn meter by 20%. No debuff chance on the A1. So yeah, really, really strong. Just an automatic leech and the turn meter boost for him. Really good. And he's Void Affinity too. It's A2. Desert Zephyr. 4-turn cooldown. Books down to 3 turns. Attacks all enemies. Places decrease accuracy, decrease resistance for 2 turns, then places provoke on all enemies for 1 turn. If the target is under 3 or more debuffs, places provoke for 2 turns instead. 2-turn provoke is actually really, really strong, especially when this ability is on a 3-turn cooldown. Keep in mind that 3 debuffs probably going to be pretty easy to do because he already lands a bunch of debuffs himself. Keep in mind his A1 lands leech as well, so he can apply 3 debuffs all by himself. Decreased accuracy is okay. I think his decreased accuracy is better than decreased resistance, but to me, this seems like a Hydra ability almost. Let's check out his A3, Prayer of the Medjay. Places a increased accuracy 50% on all allies for 2 turns. Also places Perfect Veil buff and increased defense on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Places a increased defense on this champion for 3 turns. That seems kind of a weird way to word it. It's placing increased defense on everybody for 2 turns, but then you place increased defense on himself for 3 turns. I mean, yeah, okay, that's kind of a weird way to write it, I guess, but then grants an extra turn. So it's effectively a 3-turn cooldown, increase accuracy, perfect veil, and then increase defense. But he doesn't get perfect veil himself. He places veil on everybody else, but not veil on himself. And then grants an extra turn. So what would you do here? So you go with the increased accuracy buff, and then you go into your A2 attack. Okay, let's check out what he's got here in terms of his passive. Siwa's Pride. Passive. This champion and their allies cannot receive crit hits from enemies whose accuracy is equal to or lower than their own accuracy. So the increased accuracy is going to make this happen a lot. So let's assume your whole team doesn't take crit hits from the enemy. That's a pretty big deal in arena, for sure. That's a pretty big deal in arena. Non-crit hits is not the same as weak hits. So some champions' non-crit hits can still kill like squishy allies. So this isn't like super busted, but it's still a pretty good team-wide, kind of damage reduction ability. He has the same everything is permitted passive. His aura plus 70 accuracy in all battle. Now, on first look, this champion doesn't seem crazy or busted in any kind of way. I mean, obviously, his passive is probably the best part about him. Allowing basically, no crit hits to land on your teammates. That's a big deal. And Bayek basically can keep it that way, right? Giving your own team increased accuracy and then decreasing accuracy of the enemies. So he can keep it that way so that your team doesn't receive crit hits. It could be the make or break kind of passive here, but I don't think his overall kit kind of screams really, really strong to me. It seems moderate, but nothing really, really strong, I think. Let's check out the next champion here in terms of his kit. Edward Kenway. Legendary Force Attack Bannerlord. Privateer Blitz is A1. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 100% chance when fully booked of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. So 45% total turn meter pushback on an A1. That is nuts. Each hit will decrease the target's turn meter by 25% instead if the attack is critical. So 75% pushback if he lands all 3. It's a 100% chance when fully booked. Obviously, you're fighting accuracy check and 3%. But still, that's a ton of turn meter pushback. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under Veil or Prevail. There you go. That's pretty massive. Massive A1 pushback. Is A2. Fan the Hammer. 4 turn cooldown. Books down to 3 turns with 4 books. AoE twice. 2-time hit. The first hit steals all buffs from all enemies. Decreases each enemy's turn meter by 20%. So full enemy steal. Full buff steal. And then 20% turn meter pushback. Effect cannot be resisted if he's under Veil or Prevail. The second hit has a 100% chance when fully booked of placing Sleep on all enemies for 1 turn. This debuff will ignore block debuffs if the attack is critical. This effect cannot be resisted if he's under Veil or Prevail. I really like that. I like that double hit. I like how they spaced out the effects, which is amazing. So he goes in for the steal and the turn meter pushback, and then the next hit, he will come in with the sleep. The ignore block debuff is nice with critical. I assume you just build him with full damage, so he's always going to have 100% crit rate. This effect cannot be resisted under Veil per Veil. Otherwise, you need accuracy and all that stuff. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Yeah, I mean, it's really strong. This is really strong. Kind of off for a damage dealer, I guess. Like, it feels like a support ability. But yeah, it's really strong on a 3-turn cooldown. Let's check out his A3. Between the Eyes. 5-turn cooldown. Books down to 3-turn cooldown with 3 books. 10% damage in 1 book. Attacks 1 enemy. Before attacking, places perfect veil on himself. Perfect. That's great. He can veil himself, as well as any other assassins on the team. Oh, for 2 turns. That's great. That's great. It's only assassins though, but it's great. Will ignore shield, stone skin, block damage. These are all the big guys here. Shield, stone skin, block damage. These are all the big guys, all the big buffs, especially if you're going first. Places a block revive debuff if the target is killed. Oh my goodness. 3-turn cooldown, single target snipe, going through shield, stone skin, block damage. Wow. Wow. I like this. This is really good. This is really good. So if he goes first, he'll just pick a guy off, and then he'll place Veil on himself. He'll pick a guy off, plays Veil on himself, and then he can come back in with his other abilities that he benefits from with Veil. He has Force Affinity, so it's not ideal, but I mean this is a strong ability. My guess is that his base stats are probably going to be pretty low just to balance him out. He already has only 10% damage increase from 1 book, so it's not crazy multipliers from books. But yeah, this ability looks really strong. It's on a 3-turn cooldown as well. He does come with the Everything is Permitted passive and then Kneel Hall passive. So he has a secondary passive. Each hit inflicted by this champion has a 50% chance of placing a 100% ensnare debuff on the target for 2 turns. So ensnare basically just shuts down the effectiveness of any kind of turn meter effects, turn meter boost effect. If it's a 100% ensnare, that means 100% of the turn meter effect does not work anymore. So that's pretty good. It's only a 50% chance to land it. Whenever this champion kills an enemy, places a 100% ensnare debuff on all other enemies for 2 turns. And he decreases the turn meter by 20%. So not only does he ensnare the whole team, he also decreases the turn meter by 20%. These effects cannot be resisted if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil. Well, he places Veil on himself with that A3, and then this champion inflicts 20% more damage against targets under Ensnare. To me, Edward seems absolutely really good. Edward seems really, really good. He comes in with the A3, kills somebody. He's going to ensnare everyone. He's going to push back their turn meter. He's going to put himself under Veil, and then on his next turn, he's going to come back in with the double hit AoE attack. Now, the biggest thing about Edward is that he has no way to survive getting hit. That's the big thing. So when you start out the round, if he doesn't get a turn first, he's not going to get, he's probably not going to survive. So unlike somebody like Ezio, which has a chance to basically, shut down all damage, 35% chance he at least has a chance to shut down all damage. Edward here does not. So that's going to be the biggest knock against him, but his kit looks absolutely amazing for a damage dealer. Hopefully his multipliers are good and hopefully his base stats are good. But so far, this guy looks really, really nuts. Let's move on to the next champion, and it's going to be Basim Izak. Sorry, I butchered your name. Legendary Force attack for the Sacred Order. Let's check out what he can do here. He's got Dagger Swirl A1. Attacks one enemy twice. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing Weaken. If this champion is under Veil, Perfect Veil, the chance increases to 100%. Now, there's no debuff chance from books, so it's 50% twice. That's 75% chance. That's his base rate. If he's under Veil, then it's going to be 100% twice. He's probably going to land it every time, unless he gets resisted every time. Pretty good chance A1 for landing the Weaken. Then has a 50% chance of applying a debuff spread, taking one random debuff from the target and then placing on all enemies. If they're under Veil, Perfect Veil, the chance increases to 100%. So 50% chance to take one random debuff. It's not insane or anything like that. It's a very modest A1, but it's not bad. His A2, Up in Smoke, 4-turn cooldown. When fully booked, it's going to be 3 turns. Attacks all enemies. Will ignore 15% of each target's defense. Will ignore 30% of each target's defense instead if he is under Veil or Perfect Veil. We saw this before with the Shredder. Basically the same kind of numbers, 15% and then 30% under Veil. Has a 100% chance when fully booked of placing block active skills for 2 turns. This debuff will ignore block debuffs if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil. Notice how it didn't say, basically will not be irresistible, basically. So in order to land this, he will need accuracy, regardless if he's under Veil or Perfect Veil. Now, a 3-turn AoE block active ability with a base 15 ignore defense. Conditional 30% ignore defense. It really comes down to if he can hit hard. Block active skill is really good, but he really needs to hit hard. If you hit hard enough to kill the enemy team, you don't need block active skills, right? That's kind of the idea here. All right, down to his A3. Winds of Baghdad. Attacks one enemy twice. Deals 5% more damage for each buff and debuff on himself. And 5% more damage for each buff and debuff on the target. Stacks up to 100%. So 20. So if you have 5 buffs, 5 debuffs, 5 buffs, 5 debuffs, that's 20. And then 5%, that's 100%. That seems a little bit unlikely, to be honest. That's a lot of stuff going on, right? Like 5 buffs, 5 debuffs on yourself, 5 buffs, 5 debuffs. I'm just saying that's as an example, right? Like you could have, I guess, hypothetically speaking, 10 buffs on yourself and 10 debuffs on yourself, hypothetically. But yeah, that's a lot. 5% boost is seemingly kind of small for each one of those. 3 books here. Books down to a 4-turn cooldown. Also places Perfect Veil on himself for 3 turns and grants an extra turn. Okay, I like that they gave him 3 turns because he's going to burn one of those turns off with his extra turn mechanic here. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, so effectively a 3-turn cooldown. Again, it's going to come down to multipliers here, but I'm not really feeling this ability. You know what would have made this ability a lot better is if it applied debuffs itself. If it applied one debuff on the first hit, 2 and another debuff on the second hit, so that he can actually power up his own ability. That would have been nice. It also gives him a little bit more value for having accuracy in his kit because the other effect, like the block active skill, does require accuracy. So that kind of would have made more sense, would have made his kit a little bit more powerful. But we'll have to see. It's going to come down to multipliers there. He comes with the Everything is Permitted passive, like all the other assassins. And then his own passive, Masterful Thief. Whenever this champion is attacked, steal 1 random buff from the attacker and transfer 1 random debuff from this champion to the attacker. These effects will ignore polymorph, occurs once per skill. will ignore 25% of the target's resistance when using skills if this champion is under veil or perfect veil. Okay, so that helps out a little bit. The 25% ignore resistance helps him land the block active a little bit easier. And then he's coming in with the attack in all battles by 30%. Honestly, from reading all the kits so far, I think Basim probably has the weakest one. He doesn't have ways to survive. It's good that he can self-buff, but it just doesn't really flow as well as some of the other champions. But I do like that he can place Veil on himself. That's a big thing. But we'll have to see from playtest if he's actually going to be impactful with how much damage he can put out. All right, moving on. So we do have the new in-game faction that's just going to be released as well. Kassandra is going to be the first champion in this new faction. It's called the Argonauts, and it's going to be part of the Nyrazin union between the Dwarves, Shadowkin, and Sylvan Watchers. Background looks pretty sweet, actually. I'll show you guys in the test server footage in my playtest videos, but it looks pretty sweet. And there's a quick blurb here about the whole thing. Moving on to the event dungeon mechanics. So like I said, Pontus is going to be the boss in the event dungeon. The mechanics here, the event dungeon is back with a brand new badass boss, non-IP champion. So he will be available from shards even after the IP ends. Pontiff Augustin. This event dungeon will be available only during the time-limited event. Now notice that the end date for the event dungeon is here, March 4th. So that's a date that's quite different than all the other dates, the end dates. It features 30 stages, normal difficulty, with difficulty rising each stage. There'll be no waves, only a boss battle. Be aware the boss won't be alone. We'll have a bunch of stuff with him. This time, the event dungeon will have 5 new challenge stages, 31 to 35. These challenge stages won't require energy, that's awesome, and won't provide the typical loot. Instead, their completion will bring a one-time reward like relic materials, basalt, and gemstones. The event dungeon will be available for players from level 6 and higher. All right, cool. We did cover this earlier. We did cover Pontiff's kit earlier as well. He's going to be a Void Affinity Knight Revenant champion. He does have a pretty cool passive here that kind of passively removes enemy buffs, which is pretty nice. And he has a team-wide intercept buff as well as a turn meter boost. And he comes with a strip and 100% ensnare as well. So he can be a little bit of a turn meter booster, a little bit of a control champion, a little bit. He does have a nice speed in all battles aura as well. So it'll be interesting to see where he gets really used, but he's definitely a very serviceable, decent champion. Now he is going to be the boss in the event dungeon, and we are getting Chronophage back as the set. In the original deck, or the original video where I previewed the Pontiff and the event dungeon, they did give us the wrong slide, which was the old Chronophage slide. So this is the upgraded Chronophage stat distribution. 20 resistance on one piece, 10% speed on two pieces. That's a really big upgrade because the original stat layout, they had the speed on the 3-piece, which was really, really bad. So obviously, if you guys are new into the game, make sure you guys get some Chronophage accessories so that you can at least get the 10% speed boost from a ring and an amulet. The stats on them usually don't matter, but yeah, just getting the extra 10% speed is really, really good. The immutable stack basically just covers your champion for one cooldown reduction attempt. So for example, if somebody has a warlord and he's trying to, shut down your skills with the cooldown reduction, the immutable stack will stop that one attempt. All right, so after the Chronophage, we do have some updated relics here from this new collab. We did cover this very briefly in the preview video. The rares look okay. The damage rare looks okay. The mitigation rare does not look very good at all. In terms of the epics, both the epics don't look particularly good, but perhaps you can find some use for it. Maybe the Dark Smiles Toast could be useful with the healing. Legendaries, we have a extra damage boost here against shield buffs, and the Oculos removes all debuffs from the wearer when they lose 70% or more of their HP. Of course, the requirement can bring this down to 50% at level 12. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how strong that is. I mean, obviously you can remove status effects and stuff like that, but if you're taking a hit that big, yeah, I mean, I might as well take something that can prevent your death, right? If you're going to take a hit that big, but could be interesting. The mythicals are very interesting here. The diabolical dice, I didn't have a very strong opinion on this in the beginning, but after hearing some of the content creators talk about it a little bit, definitely gave a bit more ideas on how to use it. It could be pretty interesting for maybe champions that take extra turns, or if you put it on a damage dealer after somebody that locks out your enemy, then he can deal some more damage there. It could be interesting. Also, the tower helm, pretty standard, like nothing fancy or anything, but just looks like a very solid damage mitigation relic. And lastly, some of the event themed items here. We do have a badge. We have the assassin badge here for collecting all the stuff. 6 themed champion. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of reward pack as well. They haven't shown that yet, but then they only shown this badge, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of frames here. No doubt those will be part of some Heroes Path, maybe some Titan events. Yeah, who knows? They're gonna be all part of all those big events and stuff. They look pretty cool, actually. It really depends, but they look pretty cool. All right, guys. So we reached the end of the Assassin's Creed info deck here. So now we are all totally caught up with all the info for this collab. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Obviously, the big reveal here is some of the kits for the rest of the champions, and of course, the reveal for the champions themselves. Let me know which one you think is the coolest. Personally, I'm really interested in Edward. He looks really, really strong. His kit looks really strong, and he looks pretty fun to play with. While the other champions don't look particularly super strong, I wish there was a little bit more synergy between them, kind of how like Leonardo was so strong, almost like a Unity champion. It would have been nice if they had their own kind of Unity champion as well. But I don't mind that they're all kind of different anyways. You don't want to keep following the same kind of champion style and kit style anyways. So I don't mind that they're a little bit different. Let me know what you like and don't like about all this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was informative. Thank you guys so much for watching until the end. If you guys like the content, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. It really, really helps me out. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.